Hey, sisters, we're going to get started. I'm going to just do our normal invitations. Welcome to Whole and Bold Conversations for the month of August. What a perfect day on this Lions Gate Day to begin a conversation with sisters who are living it, who are doing it in business, who are living their vision, who are doing their work, continue to do the work. That's what's so amazing and so humbling, is that sometimes we think that there's some place to get to, and where we are sometimes already is offering to us good manna, good word, good manifestation. And so we are going to have a conversation as soon as I can get Sandra Chaney to join us, who is actually Elder Sandra Chaney, Arthur Sandra Chaney, sister, mother, businesswoman Sandra Chaney. So we are absolutely looking forward to this conversation. We won't be long, but I guarantee you we will be strong. And so you want to make sure that you tune in. Okay, so she is here and I'm adding her. This party started. Right. Yay. All right, so hey,
Hey!
yay.
Hi!
Hi, just did a little introduction. Hopefully you heard it.
I did hear a little, yes.
Good. So once again, I just want to welcome Sandra. Some of you all in the Juicy Spirit um, Rites of Passage community know her and love her. But for those of you who don't know, Sandra has been um, a sister and a friend for many years.
Yeah.
We have done other things together. She is a juicy butterfly. She is one of the OGs. And that means that she is a woman who has gone through the rites of passage process, and she has gone on to do her work in the Juicy Living private coaching as well. But that's not why we're here, because she's done so many things. She's a member of so many tribes, but she is a new author who is now entered into, yes, and her book hit what, the bestseller,
Yes.
top. Yes,
And
we got to
five
tell them all.
categories.
Say it again.
Five categories.
Okay, so then say the title and then we'll add the link. If Kiapa's watching, hopefully she can put the link in so that we can get the book downloaded. If Is it still downloadable, Sandra?
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
good. So listen, the book is self-explanatory. You all know it's she's basically a nonprofit guru, has been for years.
Yeah.
I love sisters like this because it resonates with me. When you have genius in many areas, I want that to land in somebody's spirit today. When you have genius in more than one area, and sometimes you're quietly working your genius and people have no idea, and they wonder how does she do this and how does she do that. It's because she's doing something else and you don't necessarily know about it. Now the whole world knows about Sandra as a nonprofit guru.
Yes.
So that being said, how did you get there, Sandra? And please share anything else. I think I covered everything. Mother, wife, author,
Yes.
businesswoman.
Yes.
But
Um,
please, we were talking. Please share how you got to this day.
okay, so if anyone had saw my post yesterday, I talked about how everything is an inside job because it is. I cut my teeth in domestic violence and sexual assault because I'm a conqueror of domestic violence and sexual assault. I had no idea I would be doing nonprofit work because I'm corporate America. I've worked in corporate America, the beginning part of my uh, young life. I'll say that because now I'm seasoned. But I was bored in corporate America, and someone suggested I volunteer at a battered women's shelter. I didn't know I was a battered woman. I really did not
Come
know
on
until
now.
I started working in that shelter and I heard those stories. And they sounded like my story. And that was the beginning of me getting on my journey to, first of all, understanding what domestic violence really is, because I just assumed that, it was okay, to be verbally, mentally abused. I was raised that way. So I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay to be physically abused, because guess what? I was a fighter. So if you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. So I
Come
thought
on.
that was I thought that was okay. But to hear the stories really began to open up something in me, thus beginning my journey for my healing, but also into the nonprofit world. It was twofold. They started me speaking in the community about my own story to other nonprofits, community-based organizations, and faith-based organizations. This is how I got started into nonprofit. This is how I got started healing. So I always say, my business is my life and my life is my business. I cannot
Yeah.
separate the two.
Hello, you know what, and that is absolutely, that's definitely where we resonate, in terms of when there is no separation, and so many people are always trying to get to somewhere because they see somebody else doing something. One of the things I love about you is you always had a level of clarity, even especially when it came to social media. Like, I don't like that, I'm not going to do that. And you've been still working, doing, making impact in the world. And so I love how you say my life is my business and my business is my life. But I don't want to skip over the part of how spirit moved you. You were going through something. Remember, as we were talking last week, we were talking about how you were going through something, didn't even know that this was not normal until you got placed somewhere else.
Yes.
Come
Yes.
on, please speak to that woman who I know you said that even though you've done this book, now people are asking you to come back and do more domestic violence work, so it won't let you go.
No. Well, and so, when you called to me, it to me it was full circle. I'm like, I'm coming back full circle, because I started in domestic violence, and now I'm writing a book about how to get money, for your nonprofit. However, I believe that God had to place me there in order for me to get clear about my situation, because I really did not understand that I was a battered woman. I mean, I knew, I was getting hit. I knew that, verbal abuse. I mean, I knew that that stuff probably was not the right thing, but I wasn't understanding, because that's not how I was raised. So for me, it was a norm. It was the norm. And wasn't until, again, I got in that shelter and started talking to other women, and they're sharing their stories. And their story mimicked my story, and it really stopped me in my tracks. And I said, God, so that's why I was born in corporate America, because I needed to go there to actually begin to get my healing, but also
Mm-hmm.
to really understand my true purpose in the world, because corporate
Yeah.
America was not it.
Uh-huh.
In corporate America, they said I was strong. They said I would come to work every day, man, you're strong. But I would go home every day behind closed doors, depressed, feeling unloved, being abused verbally, not knowing it, but coming out dressed to the nines, because I wore them corporate suits. I wore the makeup, all of that. And people had no idea. I had
Come,
to go to the shelter.
well, say that. Like, so people had no idea. You know that makes my belly jump, because I know the good girl oftentimes is good at covering things up.
Yes. And I never saw myself as the good girl. I was always the rebel, but the rebel somehow got her voice got quieted somewhere along the way, and I became submissive. Now hear me, I'm not saying submissive is a wrong thing, but submissive to what? So I became submissive, to that verbal abuse being okay, because I didn't want anybody else to know what was going on. Why? Because in my household growing up, we had secrets. Nobody knew what was going on in my household. So I carried those secrets into my adult life. So it became secret. And so in corporate America, I could walk around. I was an IBMer, walked around in IBM, and I looked strong and had it together. Nobody knew. They did because I kept it a secret. I hid it very well. I was a pretender. I pretended to love myself, to love my job, and to love the people I was around. And really, I did not. God sent me to the shelter. So I worked in the shelter as a volunteer, helping the women, but really they were helping me. I began to go to counseling because I didn't understand this whole domestic violence piece. I didn't know I didn't know the dynamics of it. I didn't understand that because you're calling me out of my name, that was wrong, because you were taking my spirit away inch by inch by inch. That was wrong, that you were using sex to keep me there. All that stuff was happening, and I didn't know it until I went to the shelter. So
Wow.
this began the journey. This is how I got to this point right here. But let me just
Mm-hmm.
say, being in the shelter and doing the work, while it was cool, it wasn't cool, because I was an abused woman speaking to other abused women.
Oh yes,
I
I'm so
hadn't
glad
done
you talked. You know, I
my
almost
work.
forgot about that. That's what
I had
we
not
were
done.
talking about, people who are rushing to hang out their shingles before they have done their work. Come on, Sandra, come through.
I was an abused woman. It was, I mean, I was excited to be sharing my story in the streets and trying to teach other people, but I was still an abused woman myself who had not done her work. I'm not here trying to tell you what to do, trying to train other people how to start programs to help heal women when I haven't healed myself. And let me
You know,
tell
I
you, if you
see this
don't do
all
your
the
work,
time.
yes, if you don't do your work, it's going to backfire. Ask me how I know. Let me tell you how I know. I was in a support group, and I was leading a support group with a therapist. Somebody mentioned something about wearing baggy clothes because she had been abused sexually and she had been raped. That triggered something for me because that was my story, and I had not dealt with that part of my life. I actually just ignored it and stuffed it down. I froze in the group, like tears, like I bawled like a baby. I couldn't control myself. The therapist had to take over the group, and when it was over, she said, "I'm gonna need you to go do your work." Like,
Wow.
I lost it in the group. I'm leading the support group, but I'm paralyzed now because she triggered something that I had not dealt with because I covered it up. I went from baggy clothes to tight clothes, back to baggy clothes, because I was trying to figure out me and trying to accept my body. But I couldn't accept my body because I had not healed on the inside. And I felt like my body was not worthy. I felt like, even though I was working out, I mean, I was a beast at working out. Yeah, I worked out 7 days a week. Why? I discovered because I was trying to work out, work away what I was feeling instead of dealing with what I was feeling in counseling. I'm in the gym trying to make that body look good. No matter how many times you work out, if you don't heal on the inside, it doesn't matter. And whatever you do in your life personally is going to affect your business, because how you do one thing is how you do everything.
That's right. And you know what? Iyanla used to say, and that's how come when so many coach leaders or people with this, falling in love with with the platforms that they see, I always, and I get this directly from my mama, and she has always said, if you do not do your work, you will attract it in your work. And
Yes.
then now you are doing damage to other people. So
Yes.
so so you have done so many things from there. You went on to do your work, and you haven't stopped. Like, you are one person who's always been so open. What has fed that, and fed you as the woman and you as the businesswoman?
So, after getting counseling and things like that, I decided that I needed to step away. So I stepped away from doing domestic violence work because I was clear that um people say that God can use the broken and this stuff. Yeah, God can use the broken, but God wants you to do your work. Okay, do your work. because a broken person can't help another broken person. So I stepped away and I started, figuring out who is Sandra? Who am I? Before, who is this person that's created in this world? Let me just start there because I don't know who she is. So I started meeting other people like a LaTanya Taylor, seriously, like a Vicki Johnson. God started because I asked God, I said, send me people that can help me because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I'm in therapy, yes, but still something is missing even in therapy. Again, check the therapist you get. That's a sidebar. Check the therapist you get because sometimes they might not be the right therapist for you.
Hello, and you were in church too. Come on, you
Yes.
got to talk about that now,
Oh my
elder.
God. Yes, I was in church and I was told I didn't pray hard enough. This is why this happened to me. If I did this right, put on the face and smile and pretend that everything was okay when really I'm hurting on the inside. I'm bleeding. I'm in the pulpit preaching. I got ordained. All of this stuff. I'm hurting. I'm hurting. And I began to wonder if God was really like God. Seriously, I began to, because why am I still hurting? How come everybody else looks like they're happy? They're all dancing around in church. So guess what I started to do? I started to pretend to start dancing around in church too. Why? Because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. Seriously.
So when you
Seriously.
said you did your work, someone just asked the question, how do you know if you need to work on yourself? So that's a good question. When you say do your work, do you know that there are women who don't know what that means? For them, it means church. For them, it means working out. For them, it means just calling one person all the time and dumping your cares and your troubles on. So what did I know you've
Okay.
done work with me, but what did that look like beyond after counseling? Because that sometimes
So,
counseling isn't even enough.
well, no, it's not. And I discovered that sometimes counseling isn't enough. So I always say, look at your life and the sum total of what's going on around you, in you, in your wherever, in your home, on your job. If you are not happy with it, that means you got some work to do. And so here's the thing. I had a list of dreams I wanted to see manifest. There were things I wanted to see get done. They just were not happening, not because I wasn't trying, because I was doing them. But for some reason, they never ever worked out. And God was like, until you
Uh-oh.
that,
Did
sorry
she
about that.
freeze?
That was my
Okay.
phone. Sorry.
That's okay.
Until
That's
you
okay.
begin to work out, and until you begin to sit and spend time with you, to really discover who you are. And that's what I had to do. Because I didn't understand what doing my work was either. I'm going to be honest. Like, go to therapy. I went to therapy. I went to work out, all those things, but I was still unhappy. I still could not figure out why nothing was working. And it was because I wasn't living my authentic life. I wasn't true to myself. I was trying. Okay, so I don't know how many people watch the movies, but I can't think of her name now, and I'm drawing a blank on her. Julia Roberts fan. There's a movie, Runaway Bride. In that movie, she did everything to please the other person or the man. So if they liked eggs the certain way, she liked eggs that way. And I started watching that movie going, yeah, that was me. I did stuff to people please. I did stuff to make other people happy, but it wasn't making me happy. I decided one day that enough was enough. It's time for this was the season of Sandra. So I decided to figure out what was making me happy. That's what I mean by do my work. What is making you unhappy? Let's start there. What's making you unhappy? But what will it take to make you happy? Being a wife, I love my husband, okay? But I still was unhappy. I had my own business, but I was
Say
still
it.
unhappy.
Say it.
I mean, seriously, these things, I'm a mother, still unhappy. Those things don't make me happy because I don't know who I am. I don't want to do something to make LaTanya Teller happy. I got to make Sandra happy. So when I say do your work, figure out what works for you because it may not be counseling. For me, it was getting by the beach. I'm a beach girl, okay? Getting by that water and just sitting there and just asking the why, the what if questions. What of this? What of that? And letting the tears flow, because water for me, invoke something and the tears begin to flow. I just sit, I get quiet. I commune with God at the water. That's my work. That's what
So
I
that
choose to
means,
do.
so that was the beginning. How did you, can you share a little bit? Because some people are scared. They think that when you talk about magic, I think, we've
Uh,
talked about this before. When you hear the word magic, when you hear the word juicy spirit, when you hear these kinds of things, when you've been conditioned by church or traditionalism, you think it's witchcraft. How
yep.
did you move yourself forward into the space of real transformation, Sandra? And
So
we're going to get to the book, but
I did.
people see
Okay,
the
listen,
glory, but they don't know the story.
listen. I thought magic was witchcraft too. Okay, I did. Me and Tanya Taylor had that conversation when I started first working with her. I was like, I don't know, Tanya, because of what the church taught us. The truth of the matter is, it is not witchcraft. See, so I'm a researcher, just naturally born researcher. I'm a researcher the heck out of everything. I began to do my own research seriously, only to discover that, oh, wait a minute, this is not witchcraft, that this is magic. To me, it's I don't see it no different than and I want to give an example. People use the word of manifestation. People use the word, okay, listen, church people. If anybody's on here, church, don't beat me up. But when I think of prayer, I think of magic. And let me tell you why. Because in that prayer, right? Now I don't beg and ask God for anything, but I'm speaking what I want to see happen. I'm asking for the manifestation. I'm asking for the desires. I'm speaking my magic. I'm speaking this. To me, that the two are twined. There's no way that you can have one without the other. We are magical. It is who we are. We are. It is not witchcraft. If you're going to
Melanin,
manifest,
our melanin is magical.
yes, exactly,
So, so
exactly.
how did you, so how did you use what how you came is you did that. So how did you come to Juicy, and then how did you weave
Okay,
that into your business?
so when I said earlier, I asked God to send me some people in my life. It is because I was on this journey for a long time by myself. I would be in church, and some of you probably can relate to this. You would get to the altar because they would call for prayer, and then there was a prophetic word being spoken, and I would always get overlooked sometimes, right? And I would be like, God, how come or why come? And God would be like, no, because I don't want them speaking into your life. I'm like, but why? Because I'm setting you aside. I didn't understand that. I'm like, all these people
Oh, you
have,
better say that. Ooh.
I'm setting you aside. They can't touch you. And I'm like, I don't understand. He said, all these spiritual, and I'm not knocking spiritual mothers and spiritual fathers and coverings. I'm not, but the way that we use spiritual coverings and that's a whole nother story. But the way we use it keeps people in bondage in church. I'm going to just say that. So God was like, I don't want you connected like that. So for a long time, it was just me by myself. So I said, God, please, can I have somebody? That's when a Vicki Johnson came into my life. Seriously, a Vicki Johnson bought a LaTanya Taylor. And when God sends somebody, trust and believe is right on time. It was how I got introduced to LaTanya and the Juicy, because I'm like, I want something different. In order to do something different, in order to get something different, you got to do something different. This was different for me. And I was willing to take a risk and say, you know what? What else do I have? I have nothing to lose. What if it does work? Not it won't work, but what if? Because guess what? It did for me. It did for me. You got to take a chance. You have to take a chance on something that may seem different, because God is bringing you something different. In this season, especially, he is bringing us something different. So you have to take a chance, and you're going to know, women, because it's in your spirit. It's in your gut. It's going to tell you. Your gut's going to say, go for it. And I went for it because although it was different, my spirit said, this is where you need to be. And it was the best decision I could have made for myself, because I was at the beginning of releasing all that other stuff in my life and saying, this is the season of Sandra. And I'm on the journey of Sandra and finding
If
Sandra and getting her juicy
somebody
back.
out there right now ought to be just typing in, this is the season, and filling your name. You don't have to wait for somebody to give you permission for you to
Nope.
declare this is the season and put your name in there. This is why we're having whole and bold conversations, so that you can see evidence, because some of us really don't believe. In fact, let me just say, some of us have been taught only to believe, and belief is the absence of knowing. What
Woo!
Sandra is talking about is knowing. She got into a relationship with herself. See, when the Bible talks about to know something, it's talking about to have intercourse with it. And what is sex energy, sensual energy? It's to know yourself and your own senses. Many of us don't even know our own senses, so we can't be sensual. So anyway, let's keep it moving,
Yes.
because we're here to talk about.
Listen, I want to add to that though. I want to speak to the married women. Let me just say this to you, okay? Being married, I know the Bible says we become one. I want to address that. You are still an individual. Let me just say, you are still an individual. I lost myself. I love my husband, but I lost myself in the marriage, in being a mother. I had to get me back, because guess what? I had a purpose. My husband couldn't fulfill my purpose. That why I was placed here on earth.
Chill,
My
chill. Wait
husband
a
could
minute.
not,
My husband could not fulfill my purpose.
cannot fulfill my purpose. Okay? God has a purpose for him, but I have a purpose too. I have to fulfill that purpose. And if you don't fulfill that purpose, guess what? There's no legacy being left behind. You're going to go, when it's your time to transition, with that purpose to your grave. You have to be okay with saying, this is my season. This is my season. And I told my husband, this is my season. And guess what? Uh, I'm not even asking permission. I'm telling you it's my season, because when I become a better person for me, I become a better wife for you. This is the season that God is bringing something new and different. Don't say it won't work. What if it does? And just take the chance.
And
Take
what if
the
your
risk.
relationship with God becomes so beyond what you have ever known? Because that's what happened for me. I
Yes.
thought I was learning how to have more orgasms. A lot of people want to know how to have orgasms so that they can keep the man, but they lose themselves. But anywho, let's keep it moving,
Yes.
because I have to go jump into some other things right now, and you do too. So what I want to know is, you fed your womanhood, and now you are feeding the world, because I believe that the way you are, in terms of it's an inside job, it shows up on you in the work that you do, that sometimes is behind the scenes. What drove you to talk to people about nonprofits now?
So I had my own nonprofit.
Yes, you sure did.
I had my own nonprofit to actually help women, or to work with women who are dealing with domestic violence and sexual assault, because that's my oil. That's my expertise. I started the nonprofit, and in the middle of it, some things were going wrong with it. We won't go into that right now, but God was showing me that I need you on the other side to have major impact. You have a skill set that people need. So honestly, this is before I even met LaTanya Taylor, right? So I really didn't think about doing my nonprofit work, or even to help nonprofits. When I in 20
She got another phone call. Pause. She's coming back. She's coming back. I believe she's coming back. We're waiting on you, love. I know you're coming. I know you're coming. And it does that type of thing. I'm glad you all are enjoying this conversation. I think we should keep having them, right? People in this tribe that y'all know. And so when they're posting and they're sharing, we lost her altogether. I think she's going to come back in. Let's see if we can get her her. Oh no, it's no worry, Sandra. It happens.
Hey, I'm sorry about that. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so let me get back. So in 2011, I one of my mentors, Tanya Taylor, said to me, "You need to be doing this. You need to be doing this full time." And I'm just like, "Doing what?" She said, "Using your skill set to help nonprofits." Well, in my coaching with Tanya Taylor, we talked about grants again. I'm going, I can't get away from this. Why does this keep coming up? The nonprofit work. I'm like, okay, God, I put it on the back burner. Fast forward, here we are. God was like, 2 years ago, a year ago, God said, I need your unconditional yes. And I said, unconditional yes about what? That you're going to do what I've called you to do in this season. And I'm like, what is that? Because I was doing everything but nonprofit work. Everything. He said, I need you to go and use your skill set to help nonprofits because they're needed right now. They're needed. This is before the current president that we have now. I didn't know what God meant by that, but nonprofits are needed now. So God said, go use your skill set. And that's how I began, because I said yes. I gave an unconditional yes to help have impact in the world by helping nonprofits, especially women-owned nonprofits.
Now I want you all to get this. Get this. She was already doing it. Some of you are already doing stuff, but because you see somebody else doing something, you think you need to be doing that. She was already in the area. Her life already had given her an opening, a rebirth through domestic violence. Sometimes it's where you are that we're looking over. Sometimes the abundance is where you're sitting. But because we show up to work half-assed, because we're complaining and comparing, we cannot see. But she got into relationship with herself, and she got into relationship with her vision. And I love where the scripture says the vision will not tarry. And so even though she was still doing the work where she was in contentment, because she was content with herself. And look at what came to pass later. Oh my God, this is I can tell that testimony, but Lord, I'm so glad you did. I told them that they're going to hear more from you at the Rebirth celebration.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This woman is busy because she does sacred self-care. She takes time to get away. She takes time to enjoy her life, to push her boundaries. So that's what we just share is a sample. The link has already been posted in the comments. I'll go back and post it above in the section so you can still download her book. I know that the nonprofit sector is intimidating to a lot of people. And in some ways it should be. That's not something you should do on your own. And so Sandra now has something for you if you've been considering it. I know that I will be doing a nonprofit, I'll be doing several things, but look at what we have in our tribe. Look at what's in our tribe, y'all. Look at this brilliance and this genius. And y'all don't see her posting all the time. You don't see her talking all the time. She does minister on the Rebirth Sunday now. Y'all got to get on these Sunday calls and you will hear from her again. Make sure you download her link. I know that I have to run off. Iyanla Fix My Life call, and it's time for me to answer that call. And Sandra, thank you so much for sharing what you did. I know it's always so magical when we work together. Every time we have these conversations, they could go on for hours. And I just love that about my sisters. And I love you all. There's nothing you can do about it. Thank you again for your time, sweetheart.
Thank
you. We'll do more of this later. Tune in next week, y'all. Talk to you later. Ciao.